Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can you all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
Hey.
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down.
All right. Well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir.
I don't know the phone number. It's either. I think it's. Try that.
All right.
I know we have a membership, like guaranteed. I don't have the tag on
here. Unless you have a membership
number
or anything, it's okay. I'll get you over to the captain. What's the best phone number to reach you at?
Everyone in the background is saying, is he dead? Nolan, wake the up.
Claiming they're sinking and calling for help. And yet, in the background, are we really hearing all of this other activity?
Nobody has ever, none of the kids on this boat have ever admitted that anybody said that they thought Nolan was dead.
Innocent people do not usually need $50,000 to prove it, but sometimes protective people do. And on August 1st, the father of Nolan Wells' best friend put $50,000 on the table for information about a case his son was in the middle of. Read that first line again, because it is the kind of sentence that only makes sense if you slow down. His name is Dr. Benjamin Hudson. He is a physician. He is the father of Warren Hudson. Warren Hudson is the young man who was the closest friend of Nolan Wells. Warren was on that boat on July 4th. Warren came home. Nolan did not. And inside this 48-hour window, Warren's father, the doctor, publicly offered a $50,000 reward to anyone with information about Nolan's death. That is a lot of money. That is not a symbolic amount. That is not a photo op amount. That is a real check being written by a real family with a real son standing right in the middle of the biggest homicide investigation in Mississippi right now. I want to help you read this move because there are two ways to read it, and I am not going to pick a side for you. I'm going to lay both readings on the table and let you sit with them, the way an older person sits with a hard truth before they make up their mind. Because that is what respect for the audience looks like. Reading number one is confidence. In this reading, Dr. Hudson is a father who believes with everything in him that his son did nothing wrong. He believes so much in his son's innocence that he is willing to spend $50,000 of his own dollars to help the truth come out, because he knows the truth exonerates his son. He knows that whoever hurt Nolan, if anyone hurt Nolan, is not Warren. And he wants the person who knows what really happened to have a financial reason to come forward. That is a father acting from a place of certainty. A father saying, my son is clean and I will fund the search that proves it. Reading number two is pressure release. In this reading, Dr. Hudson is watching the online heat around his son grow every single day. He is watching his wife, a Chancery Court judge, receive bomb threats at her workplace. He is watching his family's name become a search term. He is watching the walls close in on his household in a way no father should have to watch. And he is doing what fathers with resources do. He is spending money to shift the narrative. He is using the reward as a tool to buy the story back. Because if the community focuses on hunting the reward, the community stops focusing on his son. Both readings are possible. Both readings are honest. And I am not going to tell you which one is right, because I do not know, and neither does anyone commenting online, and neither does anyone on television. But here's the truth I can tell you. When two readings are both possible, the tension between them is the story. And that tension is exactly why this move is going to sit in this case for months. Now, I want to talk about what a $50,000 reward actually does in a case like this, because everybody assumes rewards help. They do not always help. Sometimes they hurt, and you deserve to hear the whole picture. A reward can bring good tips. A person who saw something on that boat, on that dock, on that shoreline, who has been afraid to speak up, might now have a financial cushion to make the call. $50,000 can pay for a lawyer. $50,000 can pay for a move to a different state. $50,000 can pay for the kind of safety a working class witness needs to feel before they walk into a police station. That is the good side. But a reward also brings bad tips, a lot of them. Anytime money is on the line, people call in with stories they made up. People call in with theories they read online. People call in with grudges against neighbors they do not like. Detectives have to run every one of those tips down. Every one of those bad tips is time that could have been spent on real leads. That is the shadow side of every reward in every case. There is a third thing a reward does that people almost never talk about. It corrupts memory. When a person knows there is money for information, they start to convince themselves they saw more than they saw. They start to remember details that were not there. They start to blend what they saw with what they read in the news. And when a case eventually goes to trial, a defense attorney can shred that kind of testimony in about 10 minutes because it is not clean anymore. Money touched it. Dr. Hudson knows this. He is a doctor. He is an educated man. He works in a field where evidence has to be clean. He knows the risks of putting money on a case. He put it there anyway. That tells you something about the pressure he is under. Nobody takes a risk that big unless the alternative is worse. The alternative he is trying to avoid is a story where his son is the villain. That is the story the internet has been slowly writing for a month, and Dr. Hudson is trying to write over it in ink. Now, I want to talk about the class piece of this because it matters, and I want to talk about it the way an older person talks about hard things, straight up, without dressing it up in a suit. Two black families are at the center of this case, the Wells family and the Hudson family. Both families are black. Both families are Southern. Both families have lost peace in the last month. But those two families are sitting on very different economic ground. Christine Wansley has been raising money in small donations from strangers on the internet. She has crossed $230,000 because thousands of people have chipped in $20, $50, $100 at a time. Dr. Hudson wrote a $50,000 check on his own. One check, one signature, not a fundraiser. That is not a small difference. That is the whole difference. That is the difference between a mother relying on the kindness of the country to fund her son's case and a father with the resources to move markets on his own son's behalf. Both are black. Both love their children. But only one of them can put $50,000 on the table without asking permission from anybody. I want the older folks watching this to sit with that, because you have lived long enough to know how much of American justice is quietly decided by that exact difference. The family with more money to spend is the family that shapes more of the story. That has always been true. That is still true today. And it is happening right now in real time in a case that has captured national attention. That does not mean Warren Hudson is guilty. That does not mean Dr. Hudson is doing anything wrong. It just means we all have to see the shape of what is happening clearly, or we will get played by it. Because in every case in America where two families sit on opposite sides of a story and one family has more resources than the other, the more resourced family usually walks away with the narrative. That is not paranoia, that is history. And the history is the reason Christine Wansley cannot let this case fall out of the news, even for a week. Because if it falls out of the news, the Hudson family's $50,000 starts to feel bigger than her $230,000 from strangers. Money that is easy to spend always feels bigger than money that had to be gathered. Now, I want to give you the piece that most reporting is skipping. The reward has a specific structure. It rewards information about Nolan's death. Read the wording carefully. That wording is broad enough to bring in almost any tip and specific enough to protect the giver. If a tip comes in that clears Warren, that tip is eligible for the reward. If a tip comes in that names someone else on that boat, that tip is eligible for the reward. If a tip comes in that names Warren, that tip is technically eligible for the reward too, but somebody would have to sue to collect it, and that would be a nightmare. The structure tells you what the giver expects. Dr. Hudson has structured the reward assuming that the truth, when it comes out, will not point at his son. That is not a small assumption. That is a father making a bet on his son in public with real money. If he loses that bet, if the tip that lands names Warren, the family is going to have to make the hardest choice a family ever makes. Pay for the tip that convicts your child, or refuse the tip and prove the reward was never real. That is the box the reward built. Dr. Hudson knew he was building it. He built it anyway. That is either the deepest faith in a son or the loudest wager on a hope. I want to talk to the older folks one more time, because this is exactly the kind of situation your generation understands better than anyone. Every one of you has known a father who would sell his last shirt to protect his son. Every one of you has known a father who would spend his entire retirement to save a boy from a story he could not carry. Every one of you has known a father who did not sleep at night because he was afraid of what tomorrow's phone call would bring. Dr. Hudson may be that father. He may be sitting in a house right now, drinking cold coffee, running the math on his family's future while his son sleeps upstairs. He may be the most terrified man in Mississippi right now, quietly, professionally, without anyone noticing. Because when a doctor is scared for his son, he does not scream. He signs a check. That $50,000 might be love. It might be love wearing a suit. It might be a father protecting a son the only way a working professional father knows how. Or it might be something else. And that is where I have to be honest with you, because I owe you the whole picture, not just the sweet half of it. When a family has resources, they can do two things at once. They can love their child, and they can protect their family's public standing. Those two goals sometimes point the same way. Sometimes they do not. When a boy dies and another boy who was near him is under public suspicion, the second boy's family has to make a choice about how much of their public standing they are willing to spend on their child's defense. Some families spend a little, some families spend a lot. The Hudson family has decided to spend a lot on day 1 of August, in front of everyone. That is confidence, or it is optics, or it is both. And the truth is, we cannot tell yet. Only the sealed autopsy on the DA's desk can tell us. Only the subpoenaed platform records can tell us. Only the grand jury can tell us. Until then, the $50,000 sits on a table between two possible readings. Now, let me tell you what happens in the coming days. Watch the reward closely. Watch who claims it. Watch who tries to claim it and gets denied. Watch whether the Hudson family updates the offer, raises it, lowers it, or withdraws it. Every one of those moves is a signal. If they raise it, the pressure on the family is growing and they are trying to buy more air. If they lower it, they think the danger has passed and they are pulling back. If they withdraw it, something has changed inside their legal picture that made the money too risky to leave on the table. Also, watch the tips that come in. Rewards create data. Every tip is a story. Some of those stories are going to touch names. Some of those names are going to be new. And the story of who calls in on a $50,000 reward is going to become its own chapter in the case. I want to close with a thought that I hope stays with you. Money always tells the truth eventually. Not right away, not this week, not next week, but eventually. Money leaves a trail. Money changes what people do. Money changes what people say. Money changes what people remember. And money never lies for long, no matter who is holding the check. Dr. Hudson put $50,000 on the record on August 1st. That check is now part of this story forever. Whoever cashes it, whoever tries to cash it, whoever refuses to cash it, whoever whispers about it is going to become a witness of some kind. The reward is not just an incentive, it is a filter. It is going to sort people into groups the family will use for years. The mother of Nolan Wells has not offered a reward. She does not need to. Her son's name is enough. Her tears are enough. Her story is enough. She has raised more money in small donations from strangers than Dr. Hudson put on the table in one signature. And she is spending every dollar of it on lawyers, not on rewards. Because the family with the fewer dollars often knows better than anyone that the truth does not need a bounty. It just needs a subpoena. 2 families, 2 strategies. 1 boy in the ground, and the country is watching to see which strategy wins. Money always tells the truth eventually. We just have to wait for it to speak. And Dr. Hudson better hope, with everything a father has in him, that when it speaks, it says what he wants it to say.